how good are you at giving confidence ratings? I develop a measure for this and consider the task that you are shown either a stimulus from category A or B, and you have to say which one it is. A type 1 performance measure would just be how often do you get it right. But then if you give additional confidence ratings, a type 2 performance measure would be how informative or how appropriate are these confidence ratings. And to develop a measure for this, I basically consider the accuracy here on the x-axis, how often you get it right, and the transmitted information here on the y-axis, which basically says how much uncertainty about the stimulus category is reduced. And now the interesting part is that the accuracy and the transmitted information are not in a one-to-one relationship. If you have a classifier that gives you a 70% accuracy, if you have a doctor that makes a correct diagnosis with 70% accuracy, there's a whole range of possible transmitted information. And interestingly, the lowest transmitted information corresponds to a setting where the classifier, the doctor, always gives a prediction or diagnosis with a 70% confidence. So that the confidence is not informative, it's always 70%. And the highest transmitted information is when the confidences are maximally differentiating. So in some of the cases, the doctor says, here I'm 50% sure, I basically don't know if it's category A or disease A or B. And in the other cases, gives a 100% confidence, saying, here I really exactly know what it is, there's no doubt about it. And of course, these two cases have to be weighted in such a way that on average, you still get 70% correct diagnosis. But if they are weighted in such a way, they still give more information than the doctor that gives you only 70% confidences all the time. And then I basically come up with a measure saying that your type 2 performance, your appropriateness of confidences, is how good you are on this range of possible transmitted information values given your accuracy. And the cool part about this is basically that all existing measures, here the top left plots, for example, have a range of these type 2 performance measures that depends on the accuracy. And that's a bad thing. Just because you do the task better in the type 1 performance, just because you have more correct responses, should have no influence on how good your confidence ratings are evaluated to be. But here, in this measure and also in this one, if your accuracy increases, here the best case scenarios, the black little dots, increase. And that's not what you want. Instead, our measure, saying basically, this is your accuracy here, 70%, let's say. This gives you a certain range of transmitted information. And we basically just say, what percentage of this range are you using? Are you basically giving information to your confidence ratings? And if you're here in the middle, that would be a 50% of the range exhausted. That would then be a type 2 performance of 0.5. Then you basically get a well-scaled measure that ranges from 0 to 1 for any accuracy. And yes, there are some problems, and these problems also exist in the other measures, but these are details. For now, our step is basically saying existing measures do not give constant type 2 performance measures for different type 1 performance measures. Our idea is basically to normalize this appropriately.